In this video, I share the most easiest method on how I could achieve a 360-degree flay with an underlayer V-net. So quickly, let's get started. Greetings everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is the Ankara I'll be using for this project. It is 3 yards. So I'll just show you what I'm cutting out. So I'll measure from the corner to the other side, 54 inches, and I'll cut it out. After I have cut this out like so, I'll place it on fold like this. So after you have placed this on fold, remember that we cut out 54. On the side here, you are going to measure the half of 54. Remember that your Ankara is by 45. So on this by 45 length, you go ahead to measure the half of 54. And the half of 54 is 27. So at 27 points, I'll place it on fold again. So after I place it on fold, you notice that one part of this is longer and the other part is not up to length. And this is what I'll go ahead to place on the ground. And I hope that you understand how I came here. There's an open part of this fold and there's a closed part of this fold. You're expected to work with the close pointed part of this fold. Now from this close pointed part, you place your tape at the tip here and you go ahead to measure 4.5. You place your tape on the tip again and you just move around with that 4.5 until you get to the other end. Then you go ahead to connect your mark points together. From this marked out point, you are going to go ahead to mark out the full length of your flay. The full length of my flay is 22. After this mark, I'm going to come down, mark out 22.5 just for sewing allowance. I'm adding only half of an inch because flay doesn't need a lot of allowance. I'll be following the curve, adjusting my tape and marking out the full length. So just make sure that your mark out is not too far from each other so that you can connect the dots together easily. So after you have done the marking out, you connect your dots together and you go ahead to cut it out. Remember that this part was not up to our desired length. So we are going to be joining a fabric at this point to complete the length of this other part of the flay that is short. I'll just push this aside, take out my other fabric that is left, place it on fold, bring back this one. I'll take the remaining fabric I placed on fold and I'm going to be placing it on this part to complete the length of this other part of the flay. Now you're going to place it 0.5 inches above the other one so that it can serve as a sewing allowance. Take note, your folded fabric you are adding should be able to start from the center to the end of the circle flay and it should sit very straight on the side of the flay. Then you are going to go ahead to pin this up all around. You flip it to the other part and then you follow the previous curve and you cut it out. This is it for the flay. If you are using a by 60 fabric, you will not need to join it because you can actually get the 54 on the by 60 part of the fabric. So I'm going to cut out my lining and I will not be needing to join it because our lining is by 60. So I'm going ahead to place my lining on fold using the same method that I use in placing the fabric on fold. So working with the close part of the lining as well, you go ahead to place your already cut out dress on your lining. And when you are placing it, you are making sure that it is just the same width as the up. Like you do not place it in this manner where you'll be having some excess here and some excess here. No. You are placing it in a way that the up fits perfectly with any point that it is expected to fit in. Then you go ahead to arrange the other sides and the corners. And you go ahead to cut it out. Then you also cut out the up. And I'll remove my pins from this point that I joined together. Okay, so this is the joining part. Go ahead to open this up like so. And I'm going to be joining this. The cutout piece is expected to be able to go from one end to the other end. I'll take this up, place it on fold, notch the center and also notch the center of the other part. And I'm going to place the notched centers together, right side facing right side. Pin this up and I'll go ahead to sew it straight up. Give this a good press so that it will not be too obvious and this will complete the other half of the circle flay. I have gone ahead to spray it up. My camera cannot go all around. You can see my pins on the edges, and if you take note, I pinned it like some distance away from the hem so that I will not need to remove it when I'm top stitching. I'll come down and pin this up because I have seen from countless times that if you don't pin this up, you end up seeing like the lining being excess, and you trying to trim out the lining will make the main dress not to be relaxed when you turn it up. And before you do this, you want to ensure that it's the right side of the fabric that is facing the lining. So I'll go ahead to top stitch this all around before I remove my pins. Do not remove your pins until you are done top stitching. I've gone ahead to sew it all around, and I have turned this to the right side. And I have also ironed it. You just iron it so that it just takes just a tiny bit inward like this. So you can see how relaxed the lining is with the fabric. Now, one last very important step to avoid the down part of your flay looking rumpled is this part. I've also gone ahead to pin it. Now you need to iron this like this so that you will know the part that is excess. If you look very closely, you'd notice that my fabric is some inches backward from the tip of the lining. If I had not ironed this now, I would not have known and would have just pushed the lining in to be equal, and this might cause the lining to be falling out by the side or on the down part, you understand? So you iron it, and when you iron it all the way through, you would know the part that how it's supposed to be at the top. Then you use your pins and you pin this. Like I said, you are not pinning this on the very tip, no, you pin this some inches away from the tip so that when you want to top stitch it, your pins does not interrupt your sewing. So I can just go ahead now to sew this all around. So I am done top stitching the top part, and I have trimmed out the excess. If you are using a by 60 fabric that it does not have joint anywhere, you can use any part of your cycle flay for your front part or your back part. But if you are using an apparel fabric and you joined it here, you want to make sure that this joint is by the side so that it will not be too obvious. If it's at the front or at the back, it might be a bit obvious that you joined it. But if it's by the side, there is no way that it will be obvious that you joined it. So I'll just go ahead to fold this up and make sure that it is equally on fold, and I'll go ahead to open up this side as the back center. I'll measure from here 7 inches, and that is where my zipper is supposed to stop. So I'll go ahead to cut this open, and I will top stitch it or join it together, stopping at my 7-inch mark. Another very important part is to go ahead to measure the round waist circumference. And when you measure the round waist circumference, for me it is more than my actual waist. So I'll go ahead to do a gather stitch all around. But this gather stitch is not expected to be too much. Just spray the fullness equally, and it will not be that obvious. But if at this point it is just your actual waist measurement plus 1 inch, you can go ahead to attach it like this. Take note, you'll be joining the under layer to the waist point before fixing the zip and attaching it to the upper body. Now I've gone ahead to cut out my under layer lining, and I cut it in the same method we use in cutting out our flay, just that it is 4 inches shorter than our main flay. The reason for it being 4 inches shorter is that our V-net is going to complete the length. Now coming to our V-net, it is 9 inches long. This V-net is expected to go inward, upward by 4 inches, and also come down by 4 inches as well to complete my actual full length of the skirt. So I'll go ahead to make a gather stitch of my V-net and attach it to the hem part of this second lining, and it will be joined to the waist part before joining it to the upper bodies. Check description box for a link to the upper bodies tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.